Hey guys and gals, Adam here on The Bearded Prophet, coming to you with a very serious message and a serious episode talking about the subject of pornography. I've made several videos, and when I started this channel over 2 years ago, and the ones I've made on pornography, addiction, sexual temptation have actually been among the highest ranking videos on my channel. And especially since the coronavirus hit, I have seen an increase in some of those videos hitting and getting a lot more views. Some that maybe hadn't been that popular in the last few months or until the last few months. They were doing well in the past, but suddenly with the coronavirus and everyone locked inside, everyone on media and devices all day, all night, the issue of pornography is again coming to the surface. So if you wonder why I'm addressing it, that's why. And in this episode, I want to share very personally why I got off pornography. Why I quit using pornography. Let me tell you a few things about that. I have always known, or for most of my life known, that it's wrong. I grew up in a Christian home, and I knew that the Lord Jesus doesn't want us to use our bodies in a way of exploitation, a way of lust, a way of just looking at women, or mostly, or sometimes it could be men, in a sexual way, simply for our personal sexual fulfillment. Sex is designed to be relationship, it's designed to be people together. It's not designed to be fake, it's not designed to be artificial. So I may have had some questions about that in my early teen years, but I pretty quickly felt some level of conviction or clarity that this is not ideal, this is not normal. And maybe that's something I want to ask you. Maybe you're watching this video because you consume pornography, it's part of your life. Maybe you've always had it or grown up with it. But I want to ask you, do you feel clean when you look at pornography? Do you feel normal? Do you feel like this is how sex is intended to be or what it's intended to be? I hope not. I know for me I didn't. I do fear that in this day and age where porn is more accessible than ever and where people of both genders are often getting into it and tempted by it, and even younger and younger ages, I think there's an attempt to make people feel like it is normal. But I believe that deep down inside all of us, if you reach inside or look inside, you'll say, wait a minute, this isn't normal. This is not real. I mean, these kinds of things weren't even possible until just a couple of decades ago because of the internet, that you could get porn without going to a store or, signing up for late night cable or something like that. And then really, actual pornography in its modern form with pictures and videos and all that really has only been possible for the last 40, 50, 60 years. It's kind of exploded. But again, if you look at the vast record of human history, it's not watching these images, it's not watching videos, it's not porn on demand. That's not normal. That's not the way human beings are created. And so part of the reason I got off porn was I just knew deep down it wasn't good for me. And even if it may have offered some satisfaction or some pleasure, I mean, there's a reason people do it, right? There's a reason people look at it. It can't offer a good feeling. That feeling doesn't last. That feeling is unfulfilling. Porn is a false promise. If you do this, you'll feel better. It'll ease your pain. You'll feel fulfilled. You'll feel like a man or a woman, or you'll feel sexy, or you'll feel attractive. And you might for a few moments, but then you're left alone, and there's actually no affirmation of you as a person. You've just used an image, but in a way, the image has also used you. So I think deep down, most people know it's wrong, and if you haven't wrestled with that question, I would encourage you to ask yourself that and really wrestle through it. And the second thing is, it doesn't fulfill. This is not how human sexuality is designed. Now, I do believe it's made by God, and it's good. God created sex. He loves it. Between a man and a woman in the covenant of marriage. And that's how God designed it. That's how it's fulfilling. That's how it's good. But when we start to use it for our selfish gain, it's unfulfilling, and it's trying to fulfill yourself. And guys, this culture is increasingly selfish. And people want it their way right away, and custom built and custom made and customized and everything. But guess what? You can't demand that of human beings. Human beings come in all shapes, sizes, forms. Yeah, there might be certain things you like more than others or are attracted to, But it's not all about you. And what if you like a certain kind of person and body shape and type and all that, and you find someone that actually meets that criteria? But then they don't like you back. Relationships are difficult. They're a two-way street. It's mutual. Well, I think a lot of people are using porn because they're afraid of rejection. And in a porn, it's a safe place, and you find that image or that person or that whatever you like, and you can just consume it. You can just take it, and you gratify yourself, and you feel good. But you don't have to expend anything. You don't have to put yourself out there. You don't have to risk rejection. And one other thing is that there's an element of work to human sexuality. It's effort to please another person, to be compatible with them, to find out what they like, and they find out what you like. Well, porn doesn't require any of that. It kind of short circuits it. It's really just a one-way street, and I get what I want or I don't pay. I get what I want or I go somewhere else. Is that the kind of person you want to be? Is that going to produce good fruit in other areas of your life? No, human selfishness is not something to be gloried in. It's not something that's going to make you a better person, or our society a better place, or your family a better place, or, get this, if you're, say you're single, and you're using pornography, and you want to get married someday, it's not going to make you a better lover. It's not going to make you a better husband or a better wife. It's not going to help you, because you're ultimately going to be using or tempted to use that person, a real person coming into your life, just like you were using these images. So among the many reasons that I quit using porn, another one is that it's a never-ending addiction. It's a never-ending high, and you end up needing more, and it's leading you down a dark road. And so you might start off with, let's just say, magazines, or let's just say images. But then after a while, you kind of plateau, like any addiction. Well, at first I only needed this much to get high, but now I'm not feeling as good anymore. I'm going to have to reach for something higher. I'm going to have to create a higher boundary, and then a higher. And it's like you have this never-ending climb of looking for that fulfillment and that next high, and that next high, and that next high. And guess what? There's no end in sight. So you might start with magazines or still images, and then you're moving on to videos, and then interaction, and who knows what's coming down the pipe with holograms and 3D and virtual reality. It's really literally looking to suck people in. Guys, that's not healthy. And I think there must have been a part of me that was seeing this is not going to cause fulfillment. And you can look up videos on the web of people talking about this from a scientific point of view, the addiction of pornography and how it feeds your levels and creates bad patterns in your mind. You could find both religious and non-religious people talking about it, why they got off of it. I've even seen one site saying that significant milestones in a man's life, like things like getting married or getting your first job or whatever, having a kid. I mean, one of them in a developing man's life is stop looking at pornography. And yeah, I even hate to say this, but there's a way in which it's almost normal for young men, teenagers, preteens, and whatnot to look at it. And there is a curiosity factor about what the opposite sex looks like, or a curiosity about sex. And maybe in some ways, because many families don't talk about it, the church doesn't talk about it as much as they should, then people just drive their curiosity to the web, and it'll tell you everything you want to know and more. But it's a problem because it's not going to offer real fulfillment. You're going to have to grow up at some point. I don't think it's normal, and it should not be normal to look at pornography. But I do know the rates are astoundingly high for teens and preteens. So let's say you're in that bracket, or you started looking at that day and age. You can choose to mature. You can choose to grow up. Just like you can put off other habits that you did as a child. You can say, guess what? Maybe I'm old. I'm a real grown-up now. I'm a man. I'm a woman. I don't need this anymore. This isn't going to serve my life goals. It's kind of like when I would talk to people in college who are looking to hook up with a whole bunch of different people and have sex with as many people as they can and just hook up and have random partners and just kind of sow their wild oats. And I would say to them, do you hope to be married someday? And most of them would say yes. And I would say, well, how do you want your marriage to be? Do you want to have your spouse cheating on you or having sex with other people while you're married? And most of them would say no. And more than half of them, I would ask, would you personally believe that once you're married, should you be just having sex with a whole bunch of people, or should you be faithful to your spouse? And most of them, on the majority, would say, I should be faithful, that that's the ideal. And then I would ask this question, if that's your goal, if that's where you want to get to, how is what you're doing today helping you reach your goal? If your goal is to be in a faithful, monogamous relationship with a marriage partner, why are you going through multiple relationships now and just doing random things sexually and going from partner to partner to partner to partner? How do you think, or how do you know you'll just be able to turn that off? If you just meet someone and be like, oh, wait a minute, I've been just having sex with random people and just having all these short-term relationships and just doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you meet this one person. Guys, it's almost like we're creating the ultimate fairy tale. Like, oh my gosh, if I can just meet that magical person or that final quest and this perfect body or perfect soul or whatever, suddenly I won't want to cheat anymore. Suddenly I won't want to just sleep around anymore. Suddenly I won't even want to look at pornography. I mean, guys, there's so many reasons to begin to curtail your sexuality now, your sexual appetite. Not constrain in a bad way, or not deny, not suppress. No, admit that you have sexual hunger. God made us sexual beings. But having all these random encounters or looking at images and having false ways of fulfillment, it's not good prep for having a successful, healthy, blessed marriage relationship. So again, some of the reasons that I got off porn is it's never going to fulfill, it's not clean, and it's not actually helping you have a successful marriage and the relationship that you want. It's not getting you any closer to your goal. And real sex and healthy sex has existed for millennia without all these modern pornographic things. And there may be pornographic items in other cultures and paintings and drawings, but it's nothing, and I'm not even endorsing that, but it's nothing at the level of what we have now on demand, on your device, anytime you want, anything you want. No, this isn't healthy. Sin is a false promise. It says, if I can get what I want, I'll be happy. And no, if we're going against God and we can get everything that we want and be miserable, we can be absolutely miserable. There are people that have all the sex they want or all the porn they want. Even people that have a lot of money. Well, some of them will be honest and tell you it doesn't fulfill. Either you're happy or you're not. I heard that as a quote actually from a daughter in a very rich family. You would know their name if I said it. She's like, money doesn't make you happy. Either you're happy or you're not. I mean, the money maybe accentuates or whatever. But the same is true with pornography. I mean, if you don't like yourself or you're insecure about yourself or you're having other addiction issues, it's not going to get better because you're using images. The real solution is to work on yourself, work on your relationship with God, and realize He has a good plan for human sexuality, for your life. He loves marriage. God created it. He wants to put people, He said, be fruitful and multiply. He created sex, and He has good boundaries for it to be pleasurable, enjoyable, mutual, satisfying. But it doesn't include images. It doesn't include transaction of money. That's another thing. I mean, I always had a distaste for spending money. There was some association that I had that whether it's porn or prostitution or any of these things, there's something about money for sex is not a good trade, not a good deal. Sex should be based on love and affirmation and covenant. And yet we're short-circuiting all that with these images and just running headlong into pleasure. And that's the myth. We think if we pursue pleasure, we will have ultimate pleasure. And I would say no. Pursue righteousness, the ways of God, and in that you will find your pleasure. When you make pleasure your God, it can use you, and you're a slave to it. He who sins is a slave to sin. But when you serve God, the God of righteousness, the God of heaven and earth, and His one and only Son, Jesus Christ, then He can bless you. He can cause you and your marriage partner to prosper and multiply and be blessed. He can cause your love to abound. He can cause you to figure out how to please one another and be compatible and work together toward fulfilling goals and fulfilling relationships. There's nothing you can trade for actually having someone like you for you and accept you for you and give themselves to you, even sexually, because you have a covenant marriage relationship, because they really like you. They love you and they trust you. Porn short circuits or aborts all of that. So guys, I will continue to make episodes about pornography from time to time because I don't sense it is going to go away anytime soon, as much as I pray that it will. But my hope and my prayer is that as many of you as possible will get delivered, will begin to fall on your knees and say, God, set me free. I want to get out of these behaviors. I want out of this stuff. It's not clean, it's not fulfilling, and it's actually short-circuiting or working against the very life that I want. It says in the Bible, where there's no vision, the people perish, or they go lawless, they cast off restraint. Guys, set a vision for the marriage, the relationship, the wife or the husband that you want to have. Set a vision for where you want to go and ask God, how can I get there? Or help me get there? Or take out anything that is keeping me from getting there. I also encourage you to check out the other playlists and episodes that I talk about this issue. It really is a big part of my heart to help you get free from this addiction and temptation of pornography.